This isn't the first time that Condoleezza Rice has lied under oath to the United States Congress. I'm certainly hopeful that at some point in time, these newly empowered Democrats will recognize that when a government official in the conduct of his or her duties lies before the American people or lies in the conduct of these, that's a felony offense. And I'd love to see the sergeant of arms walk up and cuff that lady and throw her off to prison, because she lied when she said that.
I know she did.
It's just a bald-faced lie. Her staff is saying she lied. Everybody involved with that process recognizes that came across. Now, she's saying, well, there may have been a letter, but, I didn't recognize the importance of this letter, da-da-da-da. No, it was a deliberate effort by the Bush administration to suppress an effort by the Iranians to avoid conflict. Let me remind your listeners, the Iranian government is not searching for enemies. They do not want war. They fought an 8-year war with Iraq that devastated them physically, fiscally, emotionally, morally. They put in the ground hundreds of thousands of their own. Their economy has not recovered. The last thing they need or want is a fight with the world's sole remaining superpower. They are concerned about what's going on in Iraq. They have 130,000 American troops occupying a nation that they border with. The American troops are a destabilizing presence, not a stabilizing presence, and the Iranians are concerned that a government that emerges from the American occupation may continue the policies of Saddam Hussein in seeking confrontation with Iran. They do not want that. This is why Iran is engaged. They have every right to be engaged. Would we be shocked to find out that Americans are in Canada, or that Americans are in Mexico, or that Canadians are in America or Mexicans? No, because we share lengthy borders with these nations. There is common concerns, common history, common projects. Why are we shocked that the Iranians are in Iraq? Especially when we empower the pro-Iranian militias to take control.
I know. And I want you to hold that thought, because I need to take a break. And when we come back, I want you to describe for the listeners what it might look like if Bush gets his final wish and widens this war against a country who has reached out to us in the name of peace, putting everything that the president wanted on the table, including the nuclear program for peaceful purposes and otherwise, if there was such a thing, including, you name it, whatever the president wanted was on the table, including recognizing Israel, including not, helping Hezbollah, including, backing off of supporting any terrorist activities. And Condi says, I didn't get the memo. So hold on a second and we'll be back, okay?
Sure.
Thank you. Scott Ritter, former Marine, former weapons inspector, tried to warn us about this war in Iraq. And after hearing about this creation of a new generation of veterans who are coming back to miserable, miserable conditions because we don't support the troops, and you've got to get your brain wrapped around that fact, I want him to tell you what would happen if the president gets his wish and widens this war, where we're not even prepared to take care of the ones who are coming back now. 47 after.
The Randi Rhodes Show, your soothing ointment for the red, blistered irritation left behind by Bill O'Reilly's loofah.
That's what I'm talking about.
This is Air America Radio.
Okay, so here's where we left off. The last time I talked to you, Scott Ritter, it was because I had just finished reading your book called Target Iran. And there was a part of that book that scared me to death. I was sitting in the airport, and my plane was delayed, and I was reading for about 2 straight hours. And I got to the part where you described what would happen if we attacked Iran's suspected nuclear sites, after you go through this long explanation about how Iran doesn't have a weapon and what they'd need to go through to get a weapon, and that perhaps they are looking to nuclear for energy purposes, but the description of exactly what might happen if we attack their sites is so chilling that I think people need to know so that they can stop this like they should have stopped Iraq.
Well, I think the thing that people need to understand is that Iran is not Iraq. And what I mean by that is not just the obvious, again, not obvious to all. We have heads of intelligence committees that don't know the difference between a Sunni and a Shia, right, or a Persian and an Arab.
Right.
But Iraq was a nation that had been decisively defeated in 1991 in war with America. Its economy was devastated and was subjected to 10 years of stringent economic sanctions where, its society continued to crumble. The military was never reformed, and as a result, we had a 3.5-week instant victory, taking Baghdad, toppling the statue, and all that. And people go, see, hey, look, we can do this job. That was parallel to the Israeli experience, I would say, in the 1970s and 80s when they fought, Arab armies. They had a tendency to fire a couple rounds, and then the Arabs would run away. Last summer, the Israelis went into southern Lebanon and got a bloody nose at the hands of Hezbollah, which kicked their butts across the board. And we need to remind this, that Hezbollah was trained by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. These are the students. We're getting ready to go up against the teachers. And the teachers are part of a nation of 70 million, 3 times the size of Iraq, a nation that has not been defeated in war, a nation with a very large and modern and well-trained and highly motivated military, and a population that has thousands of years of culture and tradition that isn't about to accept being overrun by, a Western Christian military. They're going to fight. They are not going to just sit back and absorb airstrikes. This is not Iraq with no air force, no air defense, that's just going to lie there and allow the United States to bomb it into submission. The Iranians will resist. They don't want war, but they know war, and they're preparing for war. If we bomb Iran, even if we say it's just a limited strike going after nuclear facilities, first of all, the American people need to understand that we are starting a war. This isn't self-defense. This isn't us saying, oh my gosh, Pearl Harbor, they attacked us. We are deliberately making a decision to violate the sovereignty of a nation and drop bombs on their territory, destroying their legitimate, and I emphasize legitimate, infrastructure, because there's nothing about the Iranian nuclear program that is unlawful. The Iranians will retaliate. And again, these aren't kids. These are grown-ups. These are adults. They're going to retaliate in ways that we can't even begin to comprehend. First of all, they understand that the coalition that we're building today, the coalition of Arab nations like Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Jordan, who are fearful of alleged Iranian expansionism, the Iranians know that if Israel ever gets involved in this fray, those nations are gone. So the first thing Iran's going to do is fire missiles at Israel. That will prompt an Israeli retaliation, which is going to widen the conflict instantaneously. Every one of the nations I just mentioned has a sizable Shia minority. They will rise up and they will fight against not only American presence in their country, but also the governments who are complicit not only to American presence and American militarism, but now Israeli militarism. They will shut down oil. This is where Americans really start to pay mind, because apparently we don't care about our troops dying.
Yeah, I know.
Oil, on the other hand, that impacts us. We don't want to pay, $3-4 a gallon. Well, you know what? Boy, those will be the good old days when we only paid $3 or $4. We go after Iran. They take down oil production in Kuwait, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, not to mention Iran itself. We have a situation where we have barely enough oil excess production capacity, 1.5 to 2% excess production capacity, which means we're barely meeting the demands of the global economy. You drop Iranian oil and all the oil of the Persian Gulf out, we're down to negative 30%. There's no other oil to dip into. There's nothing there. So now we got the world saying we're still thirsty. We're addicted to this stuff. There's no stuff to have. What happens when you have a finite resource that everybody's bidding on? The price goes out through the roof. Saudi Arabians are talking about $250, $300 a barrel. Once that happens, just numbers don't matter, because you're into a hyperinflation cycle where, all logic is out the window. You're going to be taking a wheelbarrow full of money to go to the grocery store to buy a loaf of bread. That happened in Germany in the 1930s.
The Weimar Republic, and it led to Hitler.
That's right.
It's stunning.
And now, in the back of your head, remember, we got Northern Command now, and we got this president passing a whole bunch of laws talking about the imposition of martial law in times of civil unrest. You think there's going to be civil unrest when there's not enough food, not enough gas?
Thank you.
Americans are going to sit in their home and go, oh, yeah, well, that's cool.
Yeah, thank you for laying that out. I'm going to replay that segment, okay? And I'm going to replay it often enough so that people get it through their heads. And then I want to talk to you again.
You're listening to The Randi Rhodes Show. This is Air America Radio.